All right, let's get started. Looks like we have a good group in here right now. First off, I want to thank you for attending this webinar. Good afternoon on the East Coast. Good morning on our West Coast, and thanks for taking the time out with us today. I'm Chris Smythe. I'm the director of the Sports and Wellness Program here at NSM, and just super excited to bring this to you. If you've been on one of these webinars before with Adam and I, thanks for coming back. We'll have a little bit of new stuff for you. If you haven't been on one yet, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and excited to see what you're going to get with our SportsCONNECT portal. It's just going to make things faster and easier for you, as any web portal should, right? So we're very excited to show you what we're going to show you. As I mentioned, I have Adam Blum with me, senior underwriter. I suffice to say he's probably one of the top sports underwriters in the country at this point. He's been doing it for a long time. He's seen it all, done it all. And he's been involved in the development of this portal since day one. So I hope you're with us as well today. Let's do some housekeeping. This will be recorded. So we'll be sending this out to everyone that was on the recording in the next couple of days. If you have questions, I'd love it if you would just type them into the questions box in the GoToWebinar portal there. And at the end, we're going to leave some time for those questions as well. So looking forward to that too. So we'd love to hear back from you, anything positive, negative. As I've said before in these things, and I've said in many of our meetings, we're from Philly. We can take it, give it to us, good or bad. So let's get going. So today's agenda, just a quick refresher on NSM, on sports and wellness in particular, but what is NSM as a whole? We're going to get you involved in what SportsCONNECT really is and what it can do for you, and how it can help you in your day-to-day write more good business with us. And then after that, Adam's going to walk through everything. He's going to show you how to access. He's going to show the support that we have with our brand new user guide that was painstakingly done by the people on our team here in the marketing department. Fantastic user guide with a live demo, and then we'll finish with the Q&A. So let's get going. All right, so NSM, we're the leader in niche specialty markets. We've been around for 33 years, started as a insurance agency, and have built into an MGA program of niche markets spanning, as you can see from that screen, I'm not going to read through everything, but 1 million clients, 16,000 broker relationships, all A and A+ rated carriers over 22 different offices, which is incredible to me. I've been around 9 years, and it certainly wasn't 22 offices 9 years ago. But it's a testament to Jeff McKernan and the leadership here at NSM, how much they've grown since being a small retail agency into what we are now, with knowing that we're service related. We are service positive here, and we want to make sure that you're still going to get the service that you get from a small agency now from NSM as a whole. Go to the next one there. Show you some programs. So I'm not the expert on all these programs. I'm the expert on sports and wellness, but I just wanted to point a few out. If there's a unique vertical that you're looking to get covered, we most likely have that vertical. So for instance, ATP, Addiction Treatment Centers, behavioral health, they're the leading writer of that business. KBK is our group down in the South there, and they have a tremendous garage program. They do tow, they do body shops, auto repair, the absolute leader in that, and growing. CPS, care providers, so the nonprofit, social services, churches, all that kind of stuff. They've been the industry leader for decades now in that, and continue to grow with their A-rated carriers. And everyone's looking to grow here, right? NSM's always grow, change, or die, as Jeff likes to say. And it's not as morbid as it sounds. It really is. It's the way we do it here. And all these programs are looking to grow. They're looking to grow with you. So go on to nsminc.com. You're going to get much better information there than from me. And if you have any specific questions, shoot me an email. You'll see my email at the end of this. Let me know, and I can point you in the right direction for the correct director. So sports and wellness is why we're here, right? Hopefully, we came in from the beach or the lake or the pool to spend an hour here with us. But so another thing Jeff McKernan always says is at NSM, we get 3 miles wide and 10 miles deep. We are the specialists in the sports and wellness world. The program has been around for over 20 years through multiple carriers, and our group of underwriters, UAs, this is all we do. We're not going to be underwriting apartments and condos for you, as our Have Pro group does. I didn't mention the slide before, but we're only looking at your sports account. So we're specialists in this space. We know them. They're specialty niches. We're an all-in program. We're going to get you your GL, your property, your crime, your umbrella, whatever you need, and package that all together for you. The big thing that we're going to show you now is our ongoing innovation. We all have heard it, right? Innovation is here. Innovation is key. We've all heard about ChatGPT, right? Whether we know what that is, we don't know what it is, or we use it in everyday work. These things are here. They're here to stay. So what we wanted to do was develop this portal. It's taken over 2 years at this point to do it right, and we're going to give it to you now. So this is perfect. Here's the squad. So this is the squad that hopefully you've already been in touch with some of these people. Hopefully you already do business with us, but if you haven't, this is who you're going to see. So Adam there, senior underwriter, been with us. He's been on the team for the longest out of anyone. And then right next to him, Kristen is the newest. So she's only been around for about a month now. And from what she tells me, she loves it. Hopefully she's telling me the truth. But no, so she comes into us as an underwriter with Colin and Pat as our two other underwriters on the program. They are territorial based for the most part. So depending on where you are in the country, you're going to have an underwriter dedicated to what you do. The UAs, Alexia, Jake, and Lauren. Jake and Pat are not related, even though they do have the same last name. What we wanted to do was just make it a little bit more confusing for you when you do email us. But no, they're not related to each other. But Alexia, Jake, and Lauren are 3 UAs. They are fantastic. They are the next up. You know, when you say you have bench strength in any basketball game or baseball game, that's our bench. They're the strong ones. They're going to be the next ones up. So we have a tremendous team right now that are dedicated and committed to doing what it takes to get this business done for you, no matter what. All right, so SportsConnect, this is what we've been waiting for, right? Finally. And Adam and I can say finally. There were some challenges. There were some interesting things that happened in our world in the past 3 years that have delayed this coming out, but it's here and it's been around now for a few months, and it's a game changer. It really is. I know months and months ago, we said this is going to be a game changer. I'm committed right now to tell you, since we've been seeing it now for a long time, it is. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the people that helped this come along. Adam being one, our development team on this side. We have some developers overseas that have been fantastic. And then we have agent partners. We get some beta testers that have been in this for over a year, and they're still in it, and they're writing a lot of business with us because they've gotten to know it, they've gotten to use it. It's just what they do when they send us submissions. But I have to thank everybody because this brought a lot of people together to get this done, and it really is. Again, I'll say it again. I'm confident in saying this really is a great portal. It's not a Dropbox. So you hear portal, you see portal, hey, log into my portal and we'll get you a quote. And all you're doing is dragging and dropping. This is an intuitive, and you're going to see it in a minute. It's an intuitive portal that is only going to ask you the questions that we need answered for any given account. It's not overly done. You're not going to have to click through things. It's been developed so that it saves you time, it saves us time, and it engages us in a new, better way that the whole world is basically going to. So, this program itself was originally based on the GL world, right? So GL and accident and health. So that's really the main things that it's going to do for us. But if we go to the next screen, I can kind of get into different types of things that it's going to do. So the different accounts that we're going to be able to put in there: amateur and youth sports, all that kind of stuff, gymnastics studios, intramural sports, yoga studios, the things that you can kind of think of are going to be easy to get through this system. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for everything. You can put all states, all classes of business. We can do admitted, we can do non-admitted. Everything that you have in your book, sports and wellness related, we can put into this into this portal and get it done for you, because you are going to interact with an underwriter as well. So it's kind of twofold. but you're going to be able to go through this yourself. We can go to the next one there. And what we're going to be able to offer you are the coverages you need, right? We're not just going to say, hey, this can only do certain things. It can't do other things. I only want you to put these kinds of accounts in there. No, I want you to put it all in there. Being that this program was based on general liability initially, that's the bulk of what we're going to do in this, but we are a package program. We do GL, accident and health, but then we also are going to be able to do your crime, your cyber, and marine, property, umbrella. Everything can be done within this, and you'll see in the screen where you're going to be able to drop applications in if you need to drop applications in. If you're just looking for a sports team and you just need GL and A&H, that boom, that's easy. You're going to be able to get right through it. So you're going to be able to do everything you need to do in this.
Yeah, and real quick, Chris, it's important that if you do have a general liability, like pretty much any type of submission, and you want the turnaround to be quicker than normal channels, it's always going to be better to go through SportsCONNECT and drag in your property application, your inland marine application, because a large portion of what we do manually is already going to be done once you go through SportsCONNECT. So it's just going to make it that much faster. And really, if you come through and you say, hey, I like this quote, then for your underwriter, you're going to become a priority. And in that, we think that we're going to bind this account. Can you quickly add the property? Yes, you get a quick turnaround on the property, create a package, and then we get the bind order done. So even if you have a package quote or submission, it's better to go through the portal, because it'll make your submission a priority to us.
That's a very, very good point, Adam, because what you're not seeing, what the agent side isn't seeing is with the back end work that's been done on this. So as Adam said, when you submit that account, it's all getting set up in our system. So the underwriter sees it's already done. They don't need to go back and forth in an email with you and say, oh, now I need this app, now I need that app, and then it has to be sent out, then it has to be set up. And that's going to take time, right? This is automatic. This is going to be set up for them when they sit down at their desk. They're going to see that this already came through, and they're going to be able to work on that with you immediately. Let's jump to the next one. So this is how it's going to work. We developed this in a way where you can log in as a guest. You don't have to log in and put all your credentials in there. We're just going to ask you for the minimum of the credentials to get you access to it. You can go in. You can enter whatever you need to enter in there. And again, I'll say the word intuitive. It's very intuitive. If you just want to mess around a little bit and put an account in there and see what it's going to get you, you're only going to get those questions. If you put a real account in and you need abuse coverage, it's going to ask you the abuse questions. If you need a facility covered, so you have a gymnastics center and you need that facility covered, it's going to ask you the facility questions in addition to the gymnastics type athletic questions. So this is, it knows what you're going to do. And it's all, one other thing is it's all straight up and down. So if you really were to do this on an iPad or a phone, you actually could go through the portal and do it there. If you're standing in front of your client or your potential client, you could say, wait a second, you know what? And you can put it all into there, which is kind of what we wanted to be able to do from the start. So then when you put everything in there, everything's positive, whatever, there's no claims, you're going to get an indication. That indication, you then, when you log in fully, you're going to be able to download all the information you need to get that bound. An underwriter is going to get in touch and they're going to say, okay, you know what? This all does look good. I went through everything. We're good to go. And that process is so quick. And that's what we need, right? Everything's got to be quick. So basically what this is going to do, and we didn't want it to just be a portal just all we're going to do is put application after application after application. We wanted you to have a front-facing section saying, I don't remember what I put in there. I don't remember how many accounts I have in there. You're going to be able to go to your front-facing page and you're going to see all of that. It's going to track the statistics. It's going to track how much business you've bound, what renewals you have coming up, which is huge. If you tell us no changes in that renewal, you're going to get your renewal quote much faster. When you're dealing, you never know the time of year, an underwriter may be a little bit backed up and they're not going to be able to get that to you 30 days out. With this, it's up to you. If there aren't any changes or you put the changes in there, you're going to be able to get that renewal quote faster. You're going to be able to access the policies you already have in there. Eventually, here's the other thing, the future development. And a lot of that comes into this page right here. So we will eventually be processing endorsements through here. We can already process some endorsements. We're going to be able to process even more endorsements down the road. We're always, and that's why I say, give it to us straight, positives and negatives. We want to know, what else can we do? We have developers. How much more can we do for you in this portal? And we'll try to make it happen, right? There's no reason why not. So we asked for some feedback from our, as we said, beta users. We had multiple different agents throughout the country, agents that have different types of business throughout the country, and big, small, whatever it may be, different classes of business. We asked them how it was. I'm not going to read the full quote there. You can read it yourself if you'd like, but this specific agency has employees that work all over the country remotely. And some might be on the West Coast when us on the East Coast aren't working anymore. They can still get quotes. They're still able to quote business real time, basically, for their insureds. And it makes things so much easier, as opposed to waiting until the next morning for an underwriter to see that email that you sent to them. Let's go to the next one, Adam. Another agent that does business all over the country, all 50 states, if you will. So they are able to say, well, what they had said before was, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you until the market opens or the day starts on the East Coast again, because that's where most people are. They're saying, you know what, I can get you a pricing indication right now. It's not going to be a binding quote, but it's a pricing indication, and we can go from there. So that's what we've tried to develop for our agents to do better business with everyone. So I am going to now hand this to Adam, and he can do the rest of the talking. And he's the whiz on this. I'm not the whiz on the. He's going to be able to show you an account and show you how good this actually is.
Thank you, Chris. I will take it from here. So we're going to start out with the access and support. If I know how to work a slideshow, which obviously you've seen I do not. So accessing, you see this is what you're going to come to at the nsmsportsconnect.com, where Chris had already mentioned you can continue as a guest, sign into your account, or submit your credentials to create an account. So obviously creating an account, here's some of the information you have to input, and then it'll come across to our support team, who will get you registered. You know, in real time, it happens automatically. Our support team is there just in case we need anything to be done in terms of sending you a link, which we'll often do just to make sure that you get your password and stuff like that set up correctly. So a couple quick things, and as you can see on the right, in the top right corner, this is coming from your homepage, which you'll also see shortly. When I go in, I will go in on the producer side, so you can see what it looks like from the producer angle. You can see the active policies tab, but there is, in the top right corner, under your name, you'll see a drop down, and it'll have those options for the user guide, which Chris mentioned earlier is up to date. I believe we got the brand new version of that in this week. Submit feedback tab. So that submit feedback tab there is not real-time feedback like, oh, I have issues, or it's slow, or I don't know the answer to this. That submit feedback tab is if you run into bugs. So if you run into something that's giving you an error and you can't proceed, or if you think that there's another, maybe the application isn't printing out correctly, something like that, where it's not something that you think an underwriter can answer, like an underwriting question. So that's what the submit feedback tab is for up there. And then the support button that you see in the bottom right there is for our technical team, who is on standby. They've been on standby since we've launched. Luckily, we've only run into a couple periods where we've been having like some down problems where it hasn't been accessible, but normally it gets restored within half an hour at the most. So they've really been on top of supporting from a server side and getting everything up and running as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and tab down to the live demo here.
There's the doggy.
Yeah, she's always there. So this is once you get to the home screen here. Sorry, this is in the way. So like I said, here is your home screen. And there are the three options. Now we already have a test account, so I can just hit sign in here, and it's conveniently, my password is already there. So this is the home screen that you've seen before. It immediately goes to the active policies, and anything that we have bound on our end through SportsCONNECT will show here. So this will also include if you have a package policy that's been sent to us through, and it's been submitted through SportsCONNECT, you will see the general liability portion and the accident and health portion in this list, but it will not include the property premium. So this database is strictly for your general liability and your accident and health. Even though you will have received a package policy, it will still have the correct policy number. It's just the premium won't be exactly the same because we're just looking at the general liability and accident and health line of business through this program here. So you can go ahead and see like, okay, how many active quotes I have. Again, this is kind of a test thing, so I do have some clutter here, but you can see my quoted accounts, and then you can see my expired. So again, this is a lot of test. And this is where earlier I pointed to your name drop down. So here you go with the user guide, and it'll pop up this beautiful user guide that you can see. We have an index here. I'm not going to go through all this, but again, this is pretty quick, and you can jump around and get to the slide that you need. And it opens in a new tab, so you can just exit out and you're conveniently back. And here is the submit feedback tab as well. Real quick, again, it opens up a new tab, so you're not going to lose your spot. And here's just what it looks like. It's very quick, and it's extremely helpful on our end to identify bugs and get them fixed quickly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start a quote, and I'm going to go through a little bit more of an elaborate submission. So you saw the appetite guide and what we can do. I'm going to go through something that's facility based, which it's not going to be a long process. It'll seem a little bit longer because I'm going to be talking the way through it. But once you get used to the system, it's probably a 5-minute process front to back to get a submission through. So just go ahead up there and click the start name. And then of course, as Chris said earlier, this is more vertical than horizontal. So you can imagine we got this white space on both sides. If you have a smaller screen, a more vertical screen on a phone or on an iPad, a hand tablet, anything like that, you'll be able to go ahead and use this website, and it will be fully functional. So you're not going to be restricted to carrying around a laptop, or if you are meeting someone in person, if you're on site somewhere at a big facility, you can help them through. You can go ahead and show them like, hey, here's what I can do for you. Here's how quickly I can get you a quote. So it's very, very convenient and portable. So I'm just going to go ahead and start just filling some information. So DBA, everyone knows what a DBA is. And here is additional named insured. So this is not for a landlord certificate. This is if I have multiple LLCs with common ownership, and say we're going to be submitting a package. So I have, XYZ Real Estate, right, who owns the building. And they have 50% common ownership or more with my test quote business. So that's where that would be used. We don't want to have the landlord's name in. You'll see later where you'll be able to enter in and select additional insured options. So again, this is just your insured's name, insured's phone number. A lot of this stuff is optional. One thing that I will say is it makes it a lot easier on your underwriters if you do include an address or Facebook page here. I know some of the smaller businesses might not have necessarily a dedicated website, but almost everybody has a Facebook page at this point to advertise their business, put up photos, stuff like that. So it's extremely helpful if we get a website in right here. And then mandatory fields, we'll just go ahead and call this an LLC. Is it for profit? Have they been insured for more than 3 years? Yes. And here's the dates. So you can select today, and then it automatically does an annual policy. We prefer, I know we do short-term events, we do camps. It just makes it a lot easier on us and on you if we still make that an annual policy. It's not going to make a difference in the pricing. We charge flat. We charge fully earned. So if you have a policy that's 3 months because they're just doing a camp for 2 months out of the year, it's still going to be the same price as if you do a full-term policy. So it's better to do a full-term policy, easier to renew and easier to track. And then a need by date, and of course I need it today. So I couldn't select yesterday, otherwise I would have.
Doesn't everybody need it today, Adam?
It's true. That's why we have this, so you get it today.
Exactly. There it is.
So real quick, this is a geolocator. I'm going to give away the office location here. So you can see it quickly locates where you are just based upon what you're typing in there. So you can just go ahead and select there. That's not actually our suite number, so don't try to find us. So then here you can see primary operating location, same as the mailing address, yes, no. Very easy. If you select no, it automatically brings up another geolocator there where you can go ahead and enter the address. Same thing, more than one location. Hit yes here, and then it'll bring up an option to add as many locations as you want. But I will say we are collecting the total exposure. We are not going, it's not going to make you go location by location by location for exposure. When you get to the exposure questions, you're going to want to put in total numbers because we have our proprietary rates that we do not separate them and go location by location and assign 100 kids here, 100 kids there. So I'm going to go through, and this is probably right here. The business activity is the most important question that you will get because it will dictate the rest of the questions that you go through, and it will make sure that you have an accurate price. If you put academic club or an amateur sport, but they operate out of a permanent facility, like they have a lease and they're not just renting for an hour or two, then your quote will be wrong. So what you want to do and I'm going to go through a facility. So if they have a lease, if they have a permanent operating location, you want the first thing that you select to be facility. And then you will choose the type of facility. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this is an amateur sport facility. And now that will set me up for the facility questions. If I had just done up here, if I had just done an amateur sport or academic club, then you're not going to get the facility questions because this is intuitive, and then we won't have all the exposures that we need to properly rate the account. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, we do a camp. And then you can see, we'll make this a baseball/soccer facility. So I'll say we have 2 pitching machines. Sorry about that. And then you have, some more questions based upon inflatables, yes, no. And we would like to get images. So if possible, so we'll say bounce castle, because everybody has those. We'll just say we have 1 inflatable. And here is, we prefer if at all available to get a picture of the inflatable dropped into the area here. But if you have the website, oftentimes you're going to then sure but advertise the inflatable on the website. So we'll probably get a look at it that way. Again, it's intuitive. So sport fields, I'll say yes. They have 2. And because I selected yes, the first exposure based for the participants themselves is going to be a camp. If I had selected no to the camp, this screen would not populate. So I'm just going to get through this really quickly. And you can see we have the day and night, the camp activity. I'm just going to say that this is soccer, so you can start typing in some of these fields. And we're going to say that this is the youth soccer. Everybody loves watching youth soccer. I know the parents out there watching the kid just chase the ball around the field. It's great.
0-0. Those are the fun games.
So we'll say this is a soccer camp and they have 5 days with 2 coaches. We would like to see more than 2 coaches for 20 kids, but so one convenient thing is that because we have these age groups, we wanted to make sure that this placeholder stayed, so that way you could go through and say that they have multiple groups, but everything remains. So I don't have to reselect day, I don't have to reselect soccer. It just keeps it there, so I can, if I have multiple age brackets at this camp, I can go ahead and create that. So it just, again, makes it very, very easy. And over here, one of the recent additions that we made is that we can actually edit this. That was one of the big asks that we had, and it just makes it so much easier rather than deleting it, than to just go in and make some alterations. Say, oh, it's 20 kids, or they're the wrong age group, so I don't have to go ahead and, especially on our end, make those changes. Just quicker. So then we'll get to the same line of, it looks exactly the same, but here we're talking about the permanent members. So if you have somebody sign up for, a month, a 3-4 month long program, that's not just a couple hours during, they're coming, they're at the facility, they're doing a lot of training, they're doing the fitness stuff, they're in the facility constantly, they have a permanent membership. Again, this is where you would put it. And we're just going to move this into the baseball. Again, it comes up as baseball, basketball. Put the managers, and you can go ahead and create. Again, it'll hold it. So like I said, this is baseball and soccer facility. So I can just go ahead and put soccer, create that. And we'll say that they have a different age bracket as well. So you can see how easy it is for me to move between sports and just create as much as necessary here. So just very, very convenient. Now we're going to get into some of the protocols and like the employment questions and just how the business would operate. So one thing that we'd love to see is, especially if, like I just entered soccer, is that they have concussion protocol, because we've all seen it, whether we participated in soccer or have kids in soccer, that they run into each other all the time. Even at the highest levels, you see guys colliding, both on the male and female side, jumping, trying to head a ball, and they smash each other in the head. It's pretty obvious concussion exposure there, so we want to see a good concussion protocol in place.
Now, when you start saying no to these questions, this is where we're going to get flagged on the back end. The underwriter is going to get flagged and
yes,
maybe ask you some more questions around this. And that's how we're making sure that, everything needs to be where it is before you get a pricing indication.
Yes. So I'll go ahead and I'll purposely answer a couple questions that will make sure that we get an indication rather than like a good to bind quote. Because sometimes you'll come through the system and you'll get the whole way through and it'll say quoted, which means that's great. You don't have anything that requires review, but then you'll also get through the system sometimes where it'll say referred. And that means that the price is unlikely to change, especially if we're not making any exposure changes. But again, there's a question here or there that the underwriter might want a little bit more info on. So again, you can see if I answer yes to retail sales, it go ahead and we'll ask you those additional questions. But if I say no, then they'll fold right back up. So this is just, again, a little bit about the instructors. Just questions that will be unique to your insured. So yes, first aid kit. A lot of these youth sports places don't necessarily have an AED, even though they should. We recommend, that's one thing that insureds can do. We've seen claims where somebody has a heart palpitation or something like that, and they don't have an AED device, and it can something that would still probably result in a claim can it's a severity prevention measure. So a little bit about equipment down here. If they have a soft play area, mainly that's going to be more gymnastics related. So just moving forward, a lot of facilities, if they have a ninja zone and they might have like a warped wall or something like that, we would like that answer here to be yes. There is an option down here further for ropes challenge or ninja course. So that would be where we would want to have a warped wall. But this is also, the small bouldering areas. So we have some climbing wall questions here. I'm just going to leave this as no. Again, in the same line of questioning, what type of exposures? Zip lines, ropes, silks, trapeze. I'm just going to leave this as no. But if I were to put yes, you can see that we have a drop down for each type, the number and height. Again, childcare questions, yes. A lot of times gymnastics accounts, other youth sports accounts will have before and after school programs. So that would, where they're not necessarily actively participating in sports, maybe they're doing some arts and crafts, stuff like that. So we would like that answer to be yes here. And then it's going to ask you a little bit about the supervision. But I will leave that as no. Swimming pool, I will say yes. And then just a couple of little questions about the swimming pool. We'll say there's 2 pools, and then just a little bit extra. So I'll go ahead and say no to tanning beds. And you can see that the more exposure there is, it's going to take a little bit longer. Here you can change the med pay limit to excluded or $10,000. We prefer to keep at least a $5,000 limit on there for med pay, as it really helps for some smaller slip and fall incidents to have that med pay that they can quickly pay off as a no fault claim. And then that way, maybe somebody who got hurt isn't tempted to contact an attorney to file a lawsuit, end up something that should have been $3,000 for, a trip to the emergency room, maybe a twisted ankle, broken ankle, turns into a $30,000 claim. I'm sure we've all seen that. So most insureds, we prefer to have professional liability, especially if they're involved in sports training or health and fitness, gymnastics, stuff like that. If you're just a baseball coach for a small team, or you're running a baseball league and they have 10 teams, maybe not necessarily. But if you have a full facility and you have any type of certification or you're actively doing sports training, then we definitely want to see that professional liability onto the policy, just as an extra added layer of coverage. Make sure there are no claims denied. So here's, I mentioned earlier, the landlord, almost every policy that we have needs the AI by written contract for certificates of insurance. So here's where you would go ahead and put yes. And then primary non-contributory. And then of course, this is CG 2404 for waiver of subrogation, but this field right here can pretty much account for any type of waiver of subrogation form. A lot of municipalities or landlords or different entities want to see their names specifically on a piece of paper. I don't know why, they love to see it. So here's just, you can go ahead and hit yes there. And then again, we have the name and address. It'll automatically fill, and then you can create as many as you want, and it's going to come through on the application. It's going to come through the underwriter, so we know to put that on the policy. So you don't have to come back to us and request after it's been bound. It's just going to be on there right from the start. So here is where you would, if you would need a package quote, this is where you would go ahead and hit yes to inland marina commercial property insurance, and then just use your Accord 140, an Excel sheet, statement of values, anything that you need, you can just drag and drop in this area. and then it'll come through as an attachment on the underwriting side, and we'll be able to grab it and go ahead and add that property, and then we'll send you back a package quote. So I'm just going to leave this as no. Should be nearing the end here. So hard and non-owned auto, again, just yes, then I'm going to answer questions. No, we're going to keep it moving. So again, just very easy. If you don't need it, you're going right to the next area. So another area that we're going to want additional questions is abuse and molestation coverage. I'm just going to leave this as no, but here I'll show you the limits that are available for abuse and molestation. We'd like to, we're going to be sticklers on these questions. If people aren't doing background checks, if they're not having materials, doing loss prevention, stuff like that, then maybe an underwriter will knock it back down a little bit, but you'll still be able to select the limit that you want. If the questions aren't adequate, then it'll go to the underwriter. The underwriter will reach out and get some clarification. So I'm just going to leave this as no. Just quickly, we're going to ask you a little bit more about the business. Waivers, everyone should be collecting waivers. And this is just a little bit about employment, about background checks, not used to the laptop pad.
And these are all standard questions that on any app. This is going to turn into your application as well.
Right, exactly.
So you don't have to fill anything out after this. This goes into our system as your application. And
here is the final, as we discussed, so everything that we've just done is for general liability and accident and health. We collected that risk profile. We got all the applicants, we got all the participants. So here's where you would select your A&H limits and then your deductible. And then that's going to be it. And it's going to, prior insurance questions. I'm going to say yes. I swear this is the last screen. So this is where you get your indication. So it shows based upon the information that we put in there. This is the price that came out. As you can see, it's very easy to read across there. And then we'll go down through, and we selected 5,000 on the medical. We selected 50,000 per occurrence and 100 with the accident. You can see we did select further down. We selected the professional liability. These are the limits that we offer for PL, so it's just a yes or no, and then you get the full limit. And you can see it aggregates the total exposure in there. It's for the participants that I put in for 190. And it gives me, so I put in an amateur sport. So that's more like, a training facility. So that's why we're going to call that a health or exercise facility. If I did just a baseball account, an amateur sport or something like that, that's strictly a team, it would be a 44066 class code. 40066. So from here, you can go ahead and select no, which will automatically close it. And then, or you can say, yes, please review. And that will automatically send an email to the underwriter that's assigned to your agency. And if you're coming through as a guest, it will go to Chris. So that's when you go ahead and it'll be down in your active quotes. There's my test quote. And and the reason that this has roughly, because if I go in from the underwriting side, which unfortunately I'm not going to show you, it would have the questions and answers that are flagged. So there's a couple in here, I'm not going to reveal which ones, answers to these questions that would cause an underwriter review. So an underwriter would come in and they would either approve it or they would go and ask you questions. Normally, our procedure is to go ahead and say, hey, this one's approved, or you can come in and check back and see if it's been moved to quoted status. And from there, you'll be able to go ahead and request a bind. And I will also show you where you would get your application. So here's the application, right? This is what we filled in. This is what we completed. So this becomes the application. And we need the signed app in order to bind the account officially. So you can just go ahead and save this as a PDF. And then that'll create the PDF for your insured to sign. So that way they can go through, they can maybe make a few changes here and there. You can request those, send an email to your underwriter requesting those changes, and then we'll update the app. We'll send you back the most recent version of the app, and we can update documents. So that way if a pricing changes, we'll change it in real time so your indication comes through as the most up to date. Again, here you can go through and check on your indication if you don't quite remember exactly what it was. And your documents, you'll have your A&H app that we want bound, and you have your bond sheet that shows the subjectivities. It has the price down there as well, including the taxes and fees. So they're the standard subjectivities that you're going to see on every single one of our accounts. So we'll know that we need loss runs, a copy of the waiver. The resumes, if you're unable to produce the loss runs, if they've been in business for less than 4 years, we want to see the qualifications for them to run that business. The supplement refers to that application that you can print out of SportsConnect. And then, of course, this signed acceptance page. So
awesome.
again,
Actually, so Adam, it looks like we have a bunch of questions that came in. So we could probably jump to them. What do you think? You probably got through everything, right?
I think so on my end. One last thing, if you have notes that you want the underwriter to know and you're out the door, if it's after hours, you can just go ahead and quickly, here's like, I think I did everything correct. Please review. Or you can add notes about the business. The underwriter is going to see this on their side. So that gets attached to this file and the underwriter reviews it. They will see that. So do we want to, am I handing it over to Liz for the Q&A?
Yeah,
or?
so, yeah, Liz from our marketing department is going to jump in. She's been pulling the questions from the question box. It looks like we got a bunch of good ones. So let's have Liz jump in and see what we can get here.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Adam. Yes, lots of questions. And there seems to be a burning question that 3 people sent in. So I'll lead off with that one. Are these questions printable or available somewhere so that agents can download them? And a couple people specifically asked about being able to send a list of questions to their clients.
Yes, so to answer the first part of that, I think we just saw that with what Adam pulled, and you can go to the PDF. So those are there, they're filled out, they're answered. You can also use that if you wanted to send that to the insured to get those questions answered as well. Adam, does that sound like a good answer there?
Almost, Chris. I think what they're asking, I think what people want is a master list of questions. So they want all of the questions on an app that they can send to their clients and have their clients fill out. And then that way they don't have to have their client on the phone actively asking the questions. So I don't think that's something that we have necessarily handy, but I guarantee we can get it in a couple of days. So that's something that if 3 people are asking, and I have had that question before, we just haven't quite gotten to it, but that's definitely something that we should do. We should go through and essentially answer yes, that we have all of those exposures, we need all of that, and then send it to an agent and anyone who needs it, and then you guys can pass it forward to your insureds to complete. They'll send it back, and then that way you can accurately answer upfront. So that makes a lot of sense, and that's definitely something that we'll get done.
Great. I'll pass along the contact info for the couple people who reached out about that, and you can follow up with them once that's available. Okay, a lot more questions are coming in, so we'll get through as many as we can today, and any that we can't get to, Chris and Adam will have this list and your contact info, so they'll reach out to you with answers if we can't get to it in the next couple minutes. Joanne asks, can all aspects of the GL be written in Florida?
Yes. Florida, we're 100% okay. GL side, obviously wind is going to be an issue, but yeah, we're good in Florida.
Great.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to that, thank you, that jars my memory, is a lot of the states, as you guys know, are going to have taxes and fees on admitted product. Like Florida has a tax, New Jersey has a tax. So our system does not calculate the taxes. So when you get a quote, please keep that in mind, that, remind the underwriter, if you believe that this is one of the insureds who's in one of those states, can you let me know the taxes and fees, like in New Jersey or Florida, so that way we can get you the final pricing. That way you're not collecting money and then we go to bind the policy and now there's an extra $15 or $20. It's not a lot of money, I know, but it's just super inconvenient, I'm sure, for our agents to go back to their insured. So yes, we can do everything in Florida, as Chris mentioned, including the accident. Property is a little bit tough, but we can do the accident, we can do the GL. But again, if you got clients in Florida, just let us know once you've gotten through that, hey, this one's in Florida. So we just get that reminder. Thanks.
Next question, Anne would like to know, are new ventures okay?
They are. New ventures are okay. We're just going to ask more questions. That's all. We're going to, make sure that that management team, management group, owner, whoever it may be, that's going to be on site with hands-on, knows what they're doing. They've done it before.
Great. Jeff asked a similar question. Is there a 3-year business requirement? So it sounds like that answer is no, but just some additional questions if it's a newer business.
Right. So you probably saw that question when Adam was going through that. And that's going to be, I'll give it away, that's going to be one of the flags. So the underwriter is going to have that flag. They're going to get back to you and we'll discuss with you, who they are, what they do, and, why we should be covering them, having been, somewhat new.
Yeah, and that's why that question is part of the binding subjectivities as well, because we understand that there's a lot of, especially in the youth sports area, there's a lot of people who have experience as a coach who have worked at these facilities who are either purchasing the facility or they're starting their own business, and they're extremely qualified. They've been active, especially in the baseball side. You see a lot of ex-athletes who come out of AA or who have been through that system who are very obviously qualified to run their own business. And we just ask to get that resume showing their qualifications in the class. I don't need to see what college they graduated from or their GPA. I just want to know what their experiences is in the specific industry that they're opening the business.
Aren't we all ex-athletes though?
Well, some of us are. You're a little bit more higher than I ever was, Chris. So
yeah, you're a better golfer. All right, we can move on, Liz.
Next question is a good one. If you get halfway through the application, can your work be saved?
I'll let you take it out.
Yeah, it definitely saves. I'm not 100% sure if you will, on your side, be able to go in and finish. I think so. We are actively working on allowing, initially when we made this, we wanted more control on our side, so the agents weren't able to go in and alter questions after they've been answered. But each time you hit next, it saves that set of questions.
Right.
So if something happens, you can just let the underwriter know, hey, can you just go ahead and finish this for me? I need XYZ coverage, or I need this many participants. Then we can go through and finish the submission on our side and we'll push that application and that quote to you, and then you can let us know what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, every time you hit next, that page gets saved. So if you're short of finishing the whole thing, it'll just be the sections that you haven't finished yet.
Awesome. Next is a question from Rosie. Once the indication is completed, how do I go back and edit?
Yeah, so I kind of just answered that question, right? Rosie, for now, you want to contact your underwriter. So I think that you personally have somebody in place. I don't remember if it's Pat or Colin. But just reach out to them, say in the subject line, hey, XYZ account, can you go in and do this or that? And then quickly we'll be able to just go in, make those couple of changes. And then what we do is we generate new documents, and then you'll get brand, up to date everything almost immediately. So like I said, that's something that we're looking to change to give a little bit more control to the agents. But for now, we kind of wanted to make sure everything was working before we got to that step.
Yeah, when you first let this out and give it people access, we want to make sure people aren't doing anything that they shouldn't be doing in there and going back in and out and trying to break it, So that's basically the thought process behind that. But again, like I said earlier, there's further innovation. We're doing a lot with this right now. We have the next about 3 months planned development wise. So we're still furthering this thing out.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can get through a couple more before we're up against time. A couple umbrella related questions. Brian asked, is sexual abuse and molestation available on the umbrella policy?
It is not at this time.
Okay. He also asked, what is the umbrella limit capacity?
So currently we can go up to 5 million. That's an internal approval that we can make. We really don't want to go any higher than 5.
Got it. Here's an interesting question from Adalia. I hope I'm saying that right. I have a client that does amateur sports league Quidditch that travels across the country for games. Is that eligible?
Wow. First of all, great name, Adalia. That's beautiful. Quidditch. That is the first time I've heard of that in this space. So my answer is maybe. That might be something that you have to contact us about so we can kind of get more idea of what they're physically doing. Because if I'm not mistaken, Quidditch is a Harry Potter sport that they fly on brooms. So
I'm impressed, Chris.
I have 3 daughters.
They enrolled in Quidditch.
Contact us directly. At the next slide, you'll see, Adam, why don't you jump to that slide anyway? You'll see our email addresses. Shoot us a note so we can see what that's all about. I'm actually very interested to see that.
Yeah, she added that they play at sanctioned events. So
yeah, I think we have at least one Quidditch account. Unless they're going to be beating each other with the broomsticks, I think we'll be okay. Now we do lacrosse, we do rugby, we do tackle football.
Yeah.
So I think Quidditch is all right. I don't think you're going to find the drop down for Quidditch. So maybe we'll have to think about the exact way to categorize that. But again, just reach out to us first, and we'll look through the list and we'll make sure that we get you something that's the equivalent. And we're not going to make them lacrosse and charge that rate. We'll find out the right rate for that account.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Liz. Why don't I just finish this, right? What do you think?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest.
So thank you. Again, I'm sure, we're taking an hour of your time in the summer, hopefully doing something fun. But I really, really want to thank you for your time. It means a lot to all of us that you joined us. You saw what we can do. We want to work with you. We want to build with you as we all want to build. We're going to send, we didn't get to your question. Please send us an email. It's right there. I want to get back to you. We're going to send the recording out in the next couple of days. We want all of your feedback. We want it good and bad. And we really appreciate you coming out. So thanks a lot.